Hey guys, it's Melissa with Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. Today I thought I would talk to you about pain. My mom sent me a really cool quote. She said one of her students had a shirt on that said, "Pain is weakness leaving the body." And I thought it was a really cool saying, but I also appreciated that there's some truth in that when we experience emotional pain. So I thought I would talk about why we experience pain and what we can do to move through that pain with more ease and with more grace. Everyone experiences pain at some point in time in their life, whether it's the pain of loss from losing a loved one, or the pain that you experience in a relationship when the relationship goes sour. It can also be pain caused by situations that simply don't work out in our favor. You know, if you had your mind set on a goal and it didn't work out for you, that can cause emotional pain as well. There are so many different ways we can experience pain in our lives. And for many of us, we try to avoid that as much as possible. I would love to go through life never having experienced pain. But I can tell you with 100% certainty that every time I've had to endure pain, I've come out a stronger person because of it, and I've grown spiritually as well as emotionally. The pain I experienced in my life, if we want to be honest about it, started from a very early age. I went through being a child of divorce at age 3, and that's pretty young. And that's a very, very disruptive thing. Divorce is never easy. It's especially difficult when you don't understand what's really happening. And so having that happen at a young age, I didn't have the words, I didn't have the experience to understand what was happening. And so some people might say, well, it's better if they don't know. Not really, and I think about my own children in this too. They've only ever known my ex-husband and I as being divorced. That wasn't necessarily a good thing. It didn't make it easier for them because there was never a point in time where we sat down with them and explained what happened in our relationship, because when they were a year old, you can't explain to a year old what happened or, why things are different. And then life gets so busy and you move through things. We probably did them a disservice by not sitting them down and having a conversation with them at some point. But it also wasn't necessarily an easy thing for us because the relationship there was sometimes contentious, and we tried to get along and tried to do things, but we made a lot of mistakes, and I will admit that. And so it wasn't easier, and it's not easier when you go through this being a small child, because it can't necessarily be explained to you. And even though this is how you know your life, I really don't have any memories of my mom and dad together. I just don't. I was too little. So all I know is the separation. And I didn't understand really everything until even just recently, when I was able to sit down with my dad and we had a long talk and we were able to forgive each other. I was able to forgive not only him but myself, because I didn't understand what happened in the relationship, and I had a lot of anger for him without knowing really the whole story. And so I had to forgive myself, not just him, because I shouldn't have held anger or reacted in the way that I did to him without fully knowing what had happened, what was the story. But as I said, I was young, so it's not exactly like I had a conversation with my parents and they sat me down and explained what was happening. That just didn't happen. But again, sometimes things that are out of our control, people try their best, and that's what we end up with. So it's not something to be angry about. It was a lesson to learn that made me stronger. Going through a very difficult marriage and that situation made me stronger. That shifted my life in a completely different direction. It forced me to go back to school to get my teaching degree, which I probably would not have done otherwise, or probably at least wouldn't have done it until much later. But I don't know that I would have ever gone back had I not had that happen to me, because I was forced to look at my life and say, am I happy with where I am right now? And the answer was no. And I didn't want to stay stuck. I didn't want to keep working in jobs I didn't like. I wanted to do something that I was passionate about. And so I was led in that direction, which probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't have to endure some kind of pain. A huge life shakeup, if you will. The other thing that happened to me was, another breakup happened, and that caused me again to look at my life. And I wasn't happy with where I was. I wasn't happy with how I behaved in relationships, because I felt like I didn't know how to act in relationships. I never had it modeled for me, so I didn't know what I was doing wrong or mistakes I was making. So it was an opportunity for me to go back and to relearn how to be in a relationship, which is what I did. I took a class, I went to counseling, and I learned a lot. I learned that I was doing a lot of things wrong. And it was just things that took simple correction, like being myself, being authentic, not shying away from who I really am. So those were the things that really shook me up in my life. They were painful, and they were things that if you had asked me, are you willing to go through this? I would have said no. No, I don't want to go through that. That's painful. It hurt to just go through a breakup recently. I thought that this was going to end up being something, and then it wasn't. And so that hurt a lot. But it was necessary, because it shifted me in ways I never thought possible. And I realized that I wasn't living to my full potential. I enjoyed teaching. I loved what I was doing, but I had so much more to offer, and I wasn't living up to that. So it was after this breakup that I went back and took classes for healing. I took Reiki classes, and I love what I do. I love helping people, and when I'm able to make them feel better, that is like the greatest feeling ever. And just helping people to improve their lives, there's not a better feeling than that. And knowing that in some small way, even if it's only one person that I touch or that I help, that I've helped somebody. And if it takes me going through things and sharing my experience with you to help you not make those same mistakes, to help you avoid things, to help you live a better life, then it was worth it. And that's why I decided to write this book. I went through so much in just a short amount of time. It's only been probably 7 months, or 7 or 8 months, I guess, since the last breakup that I'd had. But I've started my own business on the side. I did a podcast and wrote a book that I'm working on now being published. That's a lot to happen to somebody. And it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't gone through the pain that I had to go through, which I came out on the other side a better, stronger person. So if you sit there, you have a choice. You can wallow in the pain, and you can play the victim and say, why me? But all you're going to do is be miserable, and nothing good's going to come from that, because you're going to stay stuck in that small space of, I'm the victim. And I don't know about you, but that's not a fun place, and you're not going to want to stay there for very long. When something bad happens, we do have to grieve. We have to go through the process of grief. And some people, it might take a little longer than others, but you can't stay in that space. That's such a negative vibration. And we talked about this. When you stay in that area, stay in that space, we're inviting even more negative things to happen to us. We want to raise our vibration so that we can attract more of the things in life that we want and that we deserve, because you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be so freaking happy. And you shouldn't accept anything less than that. So when something happens in your life that causes you pain, honor the feelings that you feel when you feel the pain. Honor that sadness, honor the disappointment, the grief. But don't stay in that space for too long. When that happens, instead of staying small and staying the victim, ask yourself, why did this happen? What was I supposed to learn? What was the purpose for this pain? Because I truly, truly believe that there is a purpose in every pain we go through. What's the purpose of the pain in your life? What happened for you that changed your life after you had to go through some kind of situation like that? And so I would invite you to think about that, reflect upon that. And when something happens that you're not necessarily happy about, or something happened that you didn't want to happen, do a little reflection and think about, why did that have to happen? What's the purpose? What's the outcome going to be? And I would also invite you to call on your team to help you get through the emotional pain and to release it, because we don't want to hurt. It's not fun to be hurt and to feel pain. It's just not a fun place, and I don't know why anyone would want to stay in that space. We want to move on. We want to experience better things. So you can do an emotional freedom technique, a tapping. If there's a particular situation that's bothering you, you can search for whatever it is you need to search for. If it's emotional pain, just look up emotional pain, a tapping technique. You can find them on YouTube. They're free and you can do them anytime. You can do a cord cutting. There's a cord cutting meditation on my podcast site. There are also some on YouTube. You could schedule a Reiki session if you wanted to. That would definitely help you with that emotional stuff. It clears it out. And sometimes, and what I think a lot of people don't realize is when people contact me for Reiki, one of the first things we do is we talk about what's going on with you, and it really is a lot like a therapy session, because we get to the heart of what's happening. And that alone, just talking about it, figuring out what's going on, makes you feel better. The other thing you can do is just to call on your team and ask them to help you. And so I am going to do a prayer with you right now to Archangel Uriel, who is the archangel in charge of helping us heal from emotional wounds, for Archangel Raphael, because he is also a healer, and Archangel Michael, because he allows us to be strong and to protect us and takes away the fear that we have. And I really feel like a lot of things in our lives stem from fear. We have a choice every day to make a decision either out of love or out of fear. And I think often we choose fear, and that usually ends up with disastrous results. So I would invite you, if you want to say this prayer with me. If you are driving, you can say the prayer. You don't have to close your eyes. If you're not driving, you can close your eyes. Archangel Uriel, Archangel Michael, and Archangel Raphael, we ask that you would be with us today as we're going through this emotional pain. We ask for clarity and healing from this pain. Help us to see why we had to go through this. What's the outcome? What lesson were we supposed to learn? Help us to be free from the fear. Protect us and help us to heal from this pain. We know that our pain serves a purpose. Help us to find that purpose and to move through this pain with ease and grace. Thank you for always being with us, protecting us, and helping us to move through life more easily. Amen. So you can say a prayer every day that you need to. You can do a cord cutting anytime you need to. You can do Reiki as often as you need to. There's so many tools out there that we can use to help us move through this pain. I hope that you guys are feeling awesome and that you're not going through any emotional pain right now. But if you are, know that there is a purpose and that you will get through this. This too shall pass. I hope you have a wonderful day. Love you guys so much. As always, if you like this podcast, please like and share. Comment. I enjoy reading your feedback. I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye-bye.